I feel like the veil between the waking world and the dream world is so thin in the darkness, and like I would wake up from a dream and still be in the dream, and like but have agency and be able to like, you know, interact with it. And it was whatever I wanted it to be. Like it was steadfast and like remained the same infinite vast potential, and it was just my relationship to it that changed. And when I resisted it, it was still there, but just it was my perspective of it that was different. And when I allowed myself to open up to it, it opened itself to me. And just being able to fully express like the full range of all of the emotions and have it all be held within that space was amazing and such a powerful teacher to see like everything being just like safely held in that space. And the darkness is like the ultimate observer and the ultimate witness. And the darkness can be for us what we can be for ourselves in that way. And so, yeah, it's an incredible teacher if you allow it to be. At first, the darkness was contained within the confines of the 3D room that I was in. And so I wasn't allowing it to I wasn't seeing it fully. And when I dropped that reality or that framework, it just opened up, and like I could just, and I think at first I was worried. I was like, I think I asked you, like, is this really soundproof? Like I was worried. I was like, is someone going to hear me? And as soon as I got over that, I just allowed myself to fully express like everything, however it came out. And I just realized like, and it was all totally like, okay. And I just saw how like the tiny little box that our society puts around like the acceptable range of emotions that are acceptable, it's like very small, and it doesn't, if we buy into that, it does not allow us, or we do not allow ourselves. And I was limiting myself and putting myself in that box and not allowing myself to fully feel the full range of emotions. And to be able to like feel the deepest despair. And then yesterday I was like laughing for I don't know how many, it was a really long time, and everything was just so like existentially funny, like so hilarious. I could not get over it. Everything was so funny. And just being able to feel all of that. And like you mentioned that someone had said that like they were afraid that the like challenging feelings or whatever, or the pain wouldn't go away. And I was like, that's so crazy, because we are very aware that the good times will not stay. Like there's songs about it, like it's just drilled into us, like the good times never last, all good things come to an end. Like there's so many we're like, we know that. So why do we think that the pain and like the bad times will not go away? And yeah, like I had bought into, I mean, I had bought into that it was not okay to feel certain emotions and feelings, and as soon as something came up, there's a remedy for that. There's a way that we can fix that. And I mean, the secret is, like, it's really not that bad. It's really not. Like, we don't need all that stuff to like temper our emotions and feelings. And how freeing that is. It's not about staying in the tiny little confines of that box of acceptable emotions, wherever you are on that spectrum. Like, if that's in my own space, like, no, being in the fully experiencing being human is feeling all of that, and not just all of that within me, all of that within others. Yeah, you mentioned something that, like, and just, I think when I first got here, how the New Age spirituality is like just another form of consumerism, and it's like, and I was like, that's so true. It makes you feel like, oh shit, I'm not good enough. I have this place to get to. I have this thing to attain. I have these steps to go through, and I need to get to where that person is that I see on social media, because their life is perfect and everything is amazing when you get to that place, and I'm not there, so I am not worthy or good enough. It's like, fuck, that's like fucked up, man. I was like so afraid to show any vulnerability or quote unquote weakness, or like any sort of emotion, that because that was not safe. Like, I might be judged, and then like it's so simple, but like I didn't realize that it really all just came down to love. Like, duh. I was like, it was all these layers on top of it, but it's all saying the same thing. And yeah, I was not relatable because I was trying to portray this like perfection that doesn't exist. And instead of like getting, I can't remember that quote that's like about getting into the ring, and I don't know, but like I wasn't getting in there and just getting messy and just doing life and allowing whatever, like fumbling around and being like a human. I wasn't doing that. I was like just kind of on the edge, just watching, observing everything, but not like wanting to get too far in there. For heaven forbid I show, like I get messy or like fumble around, and that's not what it's about either. Yeah, I was definitely expecting something to happen at first, and that's when I realized, like, I was waiting for the darkness to show itself to me. Mm-hmm. And there was this one, I think the second night, I was like tossing and turning and trying to sleep, and I just yelled out, like, what do you want from me? And then I just hear this like very like just even keeled, like, well, what do you want from me? It's like, okay, touche. You're right. And I had to like fully drop that expectation of whatever I don't know what I was expecting or like waiting for to happen, and like I had to be the one to create that, and like to step in and drop the confines of what I had like thought the darkness to be, in order for myself to fully experience. And I don't think I've still like fully experienced it. Like there's just, how can you? There's so many. I mean, it's just, I feel like I could see that relationship, like just the endless experience of it being really incredible. Yeah. I don't want to call it spectrum, but like there's the external things that we reach for, like TV and phones and whatever, to distract us or numb us or like keep us from the pain. Then there's the internal things like breath work and movement. And then there's like not needing any of that. And so even if you're moving from like the external to the internal, I feel like that's a good like small step, you know, and maybe more approachable instead of going from like, I have like watched TV all day and I'm on my phone all the time and I don't need anything anymore. Like that's a big leap to take. But my point was like I've never allowed myself to fully feel all of the things that come up. I was like afraid of those feelings. And yeah, it's really not that bad. So being able to practice that more, and instead of like, if I'm working and stressed out or whatever, instead of taking a break to do breath work or drinking coffee or whatever it is, like actually just taking a break to feel it and then allow it to pass and move on. Like that's going to be something that I will carry with me. Yeah, I was like, there's the thought or like the action or whatever that happens in the mind, and then there's the emotion or feeling that we associate with it. And then there's the meaning that we create from that emotion or feeling that arises. And at first I was like, if we can just cut off like that meaning attachment that we make from the emotions that come up and like just stay here, then that's like where we should want to be. But now like as you're saying this, like, no, that's not, like, it's also allowing that meaning to come up and just allowing all of that to be too. The darkness doesn't show itself to you. Like there's nothing to, there isn't some grand experience that like is going to, that's going to happen. And it's really, you have to show yourself to the darkness to be able to experience everything that the darkness is and can be. And I think in the darkness as the ultimate witness and observer, and just being in a space like the darkness holds it all, and being in a space of where everything is okay and possible and just allowed is really, really freeing. I had never really felt fully safe to express the fullness of all of my emotions, and the way that I was able to just really connect and feel when an emotion came up, however that wanted to express itself, I was just able to fully express it. And it took me a while to get there, even on my own in the dark, like, because there was like this self-consciousness that was just, I just thought it, like, even if I was alone in my house by myself, I wouldn't scream or yell, like I wouldn't do those things. And so the darkness allowed me, even after I confirmed that it was soundproof with you, it allowed me to just deeply feel all of the emotions. And that was what had made me feel unsafe before, and like was not being able, or not feeling like I could fully bring myself to an experience without being judged. And I don't know that I had put myself in that little box, and I don't know that I had ever fully felt all of those feelings. And so the darkness and all of those emotions and everything that I was holding on to for my entire life, like things I didn't even remember. And being able to just feel all of that and know that it was okay was such a safe space.